in a sense. Like, I do really think that was a cool kind of concept that I feel like I haven't really seen before. It almost feels like something that you'd see in like a stage play or something.
He's my husband, okay?
Claire, can you calm down a little bit?
Me?
I've been lying since the second I got you.
What's up, YouTube? Jab by Movies here, and you are watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name is Blaze.
And today we're checking out the somewhat recent movie that not enough people I feel like are talking about, Black Bear, starring Aubrey Plaza.
You're in love with her, you are, I know it.
This is what you wanted, okay? This was going to ruin us. Okay, cut.
I just want to be normal people again.
So Black Bear entails the story of a filmmaker at a creative impasse that seeks solace from her tumultuous past at a rural retreat, only to find that the woods summon her inner demons in intense and surprising ways. So that's a whole lot of nothing, if I'm being honest, or it's very vague.
Yes.
Like, that could be any movie. That could honestly be some other movies that I feel like Lawrence Michael Levine even directed himself. So yeah, anyways, getting into it. We've watched a couple of this director's previous films. I think one of my favorites, if I remember correctly, is called, I think it's Wild Canaries.
Yes, that's the one, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely love that movie. And I hadn't really heard too many of like him and his wife, Sophia Takal, which this film in the end credits, it literally says like for Sophia. And I had to look up, like, is they still together? Like, I was like, because the way that this film, I was like, is you really want to dedicate this? Are you sure about that, bro? Like, I thought maybe shit had gone south. But anyways, James, what'd you think about this movie?
Yeah, I mean, they're a cute couple. I don't remember if he's in the movie Wild Canaries, but I know his wife, Sophia Takal, is. And yeah, they're still together. I actually couldn't help myself and looked at their Wikipedias to see. But yeah, how I found out about this movie was when I first downloaded Letterboxd. This movie was on the top most talked about movies in that section. So that's how I first found out about the movie. And then the director I just completely forgot about, but I do remember that was one of the reasons why I added it to my watch list. I was like, oh, it's the director of Wild Canaries. I loved that movie. And it's been years since I've seen it. I definitely want to rewatch it soon, but it's not really a movie that I think is streaming anywhere. So you either have to own it or rent it, unfortunately. So hopefully someday I'll get around to buying it. But like, it's great to see how much like his stuff went in production value between Wild Canaries and this film, though, too. I mean, this film still feels very low budget and has those like mumblecore feels with the handheld footage and stuff, but just like, you know, this feels very crisp. The blocking is set up very well within this movie. Lighting, the set, just even though it all takes place within one place, it just feels very big despite it being pretty much a small story, and it works very well. I really enjoyed this movie. I loved it. It's not really it's an entertaining movie, but it's depressing and upsetting and anxiety just made me feel anxious the whole time. So drives that, like, you know, terrible feeling throughout the entire 100-minute setting of this movie. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I have to piggyback on what you said there about anxiety driven, because I felt like this whole watch was something that was more of it has almost like a dread anxiety. Like, I'm thinking like films that I love that are anxiety fueled is something like Good Time. This is on the other spectrum of that, where like it's so much anxiety that it's almost like this feeling of dread while watching it, especially towards like the third act of this film. I was like, fuck, this movie is like kind of intense, and I was not enjoying the majority of it. So like, I don't hate it. I think this film works. Like, I understand what he's trying to go for. But one thing I did kind of want to bring up that's kind of related to the film, I guess you could say, is I know that me and you are both like fans of like the mumblecore movement, which, I mean, it's safe to say, I don't think it's like dead, but a lot of the directors that kind of got big off mumblecore movies now are making, you know, features like this that have, big actors or actresses in them. The film like this, Black Bear, still does feel very much like you could just swap the cast for Lawrence Michael Levine and Sophia Takal themselves, and then, maybe cast somebody else. It just seems like something that they would have made. But I do feel like maybe that I don't really know how to put my hands on it, because it seems interesting. Like, this could be a movie that we could have seen a different version of, or that the filmmakers themselves are in, versus you have big name actors like Christopher Abbott and Aubrey Plaza, who we all know they're kind of like household names at this point, or like you've seen them in a ton of different things. I think they're great actors, so it's not really like saying that they're like at any point in this movie they weren't believable in their characters, but I do feel like that sense of authenticity, where sometimes when you watch like a mumblecore movie, maybe the acting, maybe it wasn't the best, but you felt like it was like authentic in a sense, because it was like them themselves creating this art. So I do feel like there is a little nuance that might be lost in this movie and other iterations of movies like this, of mumblecore filmmakers kind of going out and making productions with actual actors, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, with that, I think I agree with that with Joe Swanberg, for instance. I'd say he's like one of the bigger guys who was cranking out like 2 movies a year. And now if you look at his like more recent stuff, he's the creator of the show Easy. And then he's also directed a couple films for Netflix more recently. And the last movie I saw by him was Digging for Fire. I remember just that movie felt very like upscale in terms of like the technology they're using. I think part of the thing that I miss about the mumblecore movement, like in Wild Canaries, is that 16 millimeter feel, it being handheld, and just like it feels very documentary-esque, as if you're there. And this movie did a great job of making me feel like I was in the room, with the awkwardness of like I'm working on set, or just like the awkwardness of just I'm hanging out at this weird dinner hangout, and then just seeing this couple argue. It did a good job setting you and putting you in the room with them, but I missed the overall look and feel of that, just because this feels very much more cinematic. I can see what you're saying. Yeah,
I guess that's kind of where I'm going along with it. It wasn't like I disliked this movie by any means. I think it does effectively do what you're saying, is give you this anxiety that these characters are going through, let alone, not trying to get into spoilers or anything, but there is this kind of fork in the road, I guess you could say, for this film that really leaves the film up for your interpretation of like kind of which maybe reality is the true one, in a sense. Like, I do really think that was a cool kind of concept that I don't think I feel like I haven't really seen before. It almost feels like something that you'd see in like a stage play or something. So I did really like that.
Yeah, it was weird to see the movie just kind of pivot towards the roles of Aubrey Plaza and sorry, I can't recall her name, but I know it's the actress from the movie Enemy, which I love. Denis Villeneuve's very underrated Enemy. But it was just interesting to see Christopher Abbott like kind of play the same role, but have a different spouse for each segment. But like kind of play that same character of just like a dirtbag who says he will never cheat, but ends up cheating and stuff in both of them. I guess that's a spoiler. But like, it was just weird to see like one filmmaker aspect looking for inspiration in the first one. Then in the second one, it's these jerk filmmakers trying to get their lead actress like heavily inspired to act her butt off within the movie, but just fail miserably at doing that, just causing problems. Like, just a weird take on filmmaking and stuff. And like, I don't know if that's why we brought up the whole, like, his marriage to Sophia Takal. I'm like, does this have anything to do with your real life scenarios at home and everything? It's just interesting to think about. I'd love to see what he thought about or like has to say about the movie. I know when it premiered, I think it premiered at South by Southwest. So I wished I could have saw those conversations, because after Wild Canaries, it was a surprise, but he did a Q&A. And just it was cool to see him talk about the movie and go into more details. And I'd love to see what he'd have to say about Black Bear. But I don't know if it's a movie that really you could buy or anything. It's just such a small film that I know is well talked about, but I feel like it was forgotten. That's why I wanted to review it.
Mm-hmm, most definitely. And I feel like it is I know you can kind of argue is like the mumblecore filmmaking generation dead. Like, I don't feel like it's dead in any sense. That this film almost feels like it's very much alive and well, whether you're seeing it in major, narrative films that are coming out with these big actors, or, sometimes these filmmakers go back themselves and, still like, I think I looked at Joe Swanberg's, who's like the most prolific mumblecore filmmaker. I think I looked at his IMDb recently and noticed that like he's even directed some stuff that literally hasn't got released. So like you could probably find it at a festival. Maybe you can email him and he'll send you a copy. I don't know. I'm still waiting for a Joe Swanberg collected films past the I think it was 2011 or 2013, whichever. I bought the volume 1 collection. Still waiting for another year, but we haven't got that yet.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. And yeah, like I almost wish like all these mumblecore films that never got proper releases and stuff were just available to have physically with the special features and hear the commentary, or just a brief interview about their experience on the movie and what was going on through their mind and stuff. And I missed that part because a lot of them would do those kind of like podcasts or interviews, or you could talk to them yourselves just because they were so they were very outgoing people that they were down to talk about film with anybody and stuff. They don't care, like just respond to them on Twitter. And I do miss that aspect. But whether you do or not, like let us know what you think about mumblecore. Have you seen Black Bear? If you have a Letterboxd account, you might have probably heard about it, honestly. So leave a comment down below letting us know what you thought about the movie. It's streaming on Hulu, but you could also rent it through the Amazon affiliate link in our description box below.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click the notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And also be sure to check out all our social media links down below. We got Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Anyways, guys, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.